Welcome to the Unapologetically Unstoppable Women podcast, the show where ambition is celebrated, not silenced. Lori, Ann, and Angie are your hosts, and each week we dive into real, unfiltered conversations about women doing extraordinary things in their lives and in their businesses. Here we don't shrink to fit expectations or apologize for our success. We share stories that are inspiring, hilarious, and always authentic, because becoming unstoppable isn't about perfection, it's about persistence. So grab your coffee, get comfortable, and join our community of women who know that no is a complete sentence and there are no limits to what we can achieve together. Hello. How is everyone doing today? Welcome to another episode of the Unapologetically Unstoppable Women podcast. We are so excited that you're with us today. And you may notice that Anne is not joining Lori and I, and she's feeling a bit under the weather. So any type of good vibes, prayers, healing energy that you can send her way would be just greatly appreciated. Today, actually, interestingly enough, we did not plan this out. The topic that Lori and I are going to be talking about is growth through challenge. And we're going to talk about how setbacks become setups for success. And we're going to talk about reinvention and transformation. And whoo, those are some big words, but they also come with some heavy emotions. So let's talk about that. And Lori, this is sort of like the area of expertise that you sit in. So I'm going to let you chime in.
Okay, so my story, the one that stands out is I was in New York when the World Trade Center towers fell, so in 9/11. And not only was I in New York, but our offices were at Madison Square Gardens, and we were on the 24th floor, and we had an unobstructed view from our south-facing windows. And to see the towers on fire, I first started seeing it. We noticed it when the first tower was on fire, and I knew hundreds of people were going to die because you could tell nobody above where the fire was going to get out. You just knew because fire was coming out of all sides. And then the next tower got hit. And then one of the towers fell. I think it was the North Tower that fell first. And the whole time I'm like, you just knew. I mean, people couldn't get out fast enough. And to see the smoke and the rubble and how far it went. Now, at that point, I was in New York. I live in Ohio and did then, but I was in New York at least 1 week a month, sometimes 2 weeks a month. And I've been doing this for 2 years. So it was truly my second home. I knew more about certain areas in New York City than people that lived there for years because they came to work and went home. So it was just devastating to say the least. And then to have no communication, we're so tied to our phones. When the towers fell, all communication stopped. Luckily, I had called my mom. As soon as I saw the fire, I called my mom because she's a worrier and she was in her 80s. And I called my mom and said, Mom, I'm fine. I'm far away from it. Um, and then the communication went down. I mean, she would have been so worried and distraught because she knew I was in New York. Anyway, to add to that, so of course, they evacuated New York City, and I stayed in a hotel there. So I'm walking down for dinner, trying to find a place for dinner, and walking down Fifth Avenue, and I'm in the middle. I didn't have my camera with me. At that time, my phone didn't have a camera.
Right?
Right. But I'm standing in the middle of Fifth Avenue, not a car in sight. It was truly a ghost town. The only people that were in the city were people that lived there and not, and I don't want to say tourists or, people the people that I met were like working. So, very few things were open. The next day, so that happened on a Tuesday. I was there until Friday. That's when my flight left, but didn't leave. And the next day, for the next 2 days, Wednesday and Thursday, we had a bomb threat. And when you see something, when you've had that disaster, the
Mm.
9/11 towers falling, or the towers falling, 9/11, my brain is like all scattered now. You take it seriously.
Oh,
And a lot of people, there's a fire drill or something like that, and
mm,
people stay at their desk. Well, we hightailed it out of there. And one of the guys that worked for me,
mm.
we were standing out waiting to get the all clear to go back in, and his wife was pregnant. And I said, "You get your ass home. The last thing your pregnant wife needs, is for
Mm.
something to happen to you. You get your ass home. You do not come back."
Mm.
So I mean, there was so much fear. It was incredible. Now, so what comes good of that? There was also a lot of love and caring. The
Mm.
amount of people in the evenings I walked down, because I hung out down in that area in the evenings a lot. And I just walked down, and the the signs for caring, the signs for, the people that were there helping. Uh,
Mm.
when they were taking the rubble out, like all the fire trucks and all the, not fire trucks, but the dump trucks and stuff, when they were taking debris out, I mean, where the trucks were going, there were lines of people on either side with the American, I'm getting teary, with
Oh.
the American flag. So just so much support, so much love. There were no enemies at that point. There were no enemies. I remember the taxi cab I took to the airport. Taxis, not a lot of taxis were driving, were running, and um, it was an Arab that was the driver. He was as appalled as I was. We picked up a nurse because she couldn't get a taxi.
Mm.
She was a nurse who come to help to identify bodies, bones. I mean, this was like she's telling me this story, and I'm like, oh my God. But then again, the good things, you
Mm.
know, driving home. Luckily, I thought in advance to rent a car, because they kept closing down the airport because of bomb threats. So I kept both, but I ended up driving home. And the entire way, I saw American flag after American flag after American flag. We were so united.
Mm.
Does it take a tragedy like that for us to be united? So I guess the a couple of the outputs, a couple of the things that transformation guided me.
Mm.
One, it guided the country to be united and to love each other instead of fighting with each other all the time. Families were reuniting. Um, but for me personally, that's when I had the realization that I'm supposed to do more in this life than just work for corporate. And I still had a journey. It took me a long time to actually get to the point where I quit my job and started doing what I'm doing now. But during that time, I was getting the education I needed, the certifications, the yoga, the meditation, the Reiki, things to heal me, that I knew eventually this is what I was meant to do. this is what I was meant to do. It was a long journey. It was a painful journey to start,
Mm.
but everything, it's the yin and the yang. Truly, every good has an equal bad. Every bad has an equal good. We just need to find that good and stay in that place of good. So that's my story.
Oh, well, and first of all, I owe you an apology before I forget, because in the beginning I said, I'm going to let you tell your story. That was a terrible choice of words on my part.
Oh.
So I owe you an apology for that. That was terrible what I said.
I
And
didn't pay
oh,
any attention.
well, I was very conscious. And after I said it, I was like, what are you thinking? Oh my gosh. And second of all, as I stated, these come with heavy emotions. And I know for me, I went to ground zero and went through the museum. I couldn't make it through. I had to leave. I was sobbing so I couldn't breathe. And my best friend was with me, and I said, Janelle, you finish. I cannot. And I can't even imagine. Oh my gosh, I have goosebumps. I can't even imagine being there because I watched it on television. I wasn't there, but just going to ground zero it was too much for me. It was so heavy. And
Yes.
the beauty in that, though, in the museum, there were families from all walks of life. And once again, we were all united, and everyone was so respectful. Like normally when you go to a museum, at least it's been my experience, people can be rude and they walk in front of you and you're trying to take a picture. They don't care, like none of that was happening there. And it was dead silent because we were all respecting the space of the men and women who literally gave everything that day.
Yes. Yes.
And um and and it brought us together in a unique way that you wouldn't, even through silence.
Yes.
And those are the kinds of things that we often overlook.
Yeah.
And the patriotism that came from that, and the, like you said, families being brought together, perhaps they hadn't spoken to each other in decades, were coming together because they understood that, we're not going to be here forever, and time is very short, and you never know what the next minute's going to bring.
Yes. Yes. And Angie, you were talking about the number of people that died in 9/11, but think of all the Americans
Oh,
who chose to defend their country and went to war, and all of those who died in that war.
yep.
So it reverberates. It's like a wave, and it reverberates. Luckily, that the bad those waves of good also reverberate. Um,
Yes.
but and I hear you about what I did get to the uh, memorial, the 9/11 memorial, and the yes, the again, my brain is all aflutter now. Um, and yes, I stayed, but everything had me crying, like
Oh,
just
yeah.
sobbing.
Yes. Yes. No.
And at first I was embarrassed, and I thought, you know what, I'm not going to be embarrassed about it
Um,
because this is real stuff, and people have gone through a lot. Oh, another thing that came good out of it, if anybody out there has ever used MeetUp,
oh, yeah.
that was started by a young gentleman who realized after this tragedy, he realized that he didn't even know his neighbors.
Oh,
And so
wow.
he decided to create Meetup to allow
Oh,
people to get to know each other. But
wow.
it's true. we don't know our neighbors anymore. We don't,
Mm,
and even
right.
in he lived in an apartment building where you got people all around and going up and down the steps, and he didn't know anybody, and he realized how wrong that was. And Meetup is huge now. People have met
Huge.
their significant others, people have met their tribe, people, so yes, it's people have gotten out and drank more wine because they did the wine meetup, not mentioning any names.
Oh man, I love that. And my husband and I are we got married on September 7th of 2002, and we and our honeymoon was in Vegas. So we were actually in Vegas on 9/11, 2002. So a year later, and there's the casino, New York, New York, and
Yeah.
outside of New York, New York, there was it was talk about a meetup. Um, I mean, when I tell you hundreds of us showed up in the morning because we wanted to be there at the specific times. And we were all strangers holding hands with strangers from all walks of life. We were all paying our respects. We were all saying prayers. We were all sobbing. Um, and although we were in Vegas, the sentiment remained the same. We were outside of the New York, casino, and but just being united, and no one was a stranger, and we were all, there wasn't a dry eye, many prayers, and people were just paying homage in their own way. So much patriotism, and it was beautiful, and I'm grateful that we got to have that experience on our honeymoon. But,
Yeah.
our families were frightened that we were going to be traveling during the anniversary because
Uh,
we were worried about, like, whether it was a copycat or, whatever the situation,
yeah.
you know. And thank God, I mean, obviously everyone, that didn't happen and stuff, but um, it was really cool to be, I mean, I can still conjure up those exact emotions that we experienced that day. And then how it talk about set up for success, it actually brought John and I more emotionally connected, because we were dating, we weren't living together when all of this went down. Um and John, the organization he worked for, all of that happening directly impacted his work. And so, we, I just remember our phone conversations, and the tears that we shared together. And, so out of, unfortunately, a tragedy, it did
Yeah.
bring people closer together.
Yes. Yes. And it is sad that sometimes it takes a tragedy to do that because we forget.
Yes. Yeah.
We
Life
forget
is
how, yes, and we forget how precious our connections are, our friends are, our family are. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, truly. And so John's a hit now. He left that world because it just got to be, anyhow. Well, that's a very long story, but he's now a teacher. He's a history teacher. And
And a celebrated history teacher.
oh, thank you so much. Yes, yes.
Award-winning teacher.
Award-winning history teacher. Yes, that's, thank you for that. Yeah, yeah, he's amazing. Yeah, he got Wayne County, Ohio History Teacher of the Year, and then he got the State of Ohio History Teacher of the Year. So we're very blessed. Yeah, he's an
Yeah.
amazing teacher. And but every year on 9/11, he does something, and the kids he's teaching, they weren't born, so they have
Right.
no point of reference. But he talk about, the hashtag is never forget, and he holds that
Mm,
very dear. He's like,
yeah.
we will never forget, and he
Yeah.
impresses upon these next generations to,
Yeah.
never forget. um
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember I sent out a long email to my friends, just saying, you don't have to read this if you don't want to, but I have to get it out there. And and I decided for a couple years to send it out every year, and then I stopped. And one of my friends called me and said, "Where's the email?" It was
Oh,
kind of like their tradition too, to remember. I shouldn't say tradition, but it was their way of remembering. So now I just post and I've got a blog.
yeah,
But yeah, never
but
forget.
never forget, right? I mean, and that's two powerful words right there,
Yeah.
and there's so many implications from that. And we
Mm.
unfortunately, we're my husband and I are in a season where we, as of last night, uh, we are on our 12th funeral in less than 3 months.
Oh, now
Another
it's 12.
another friend, and she was the organist in our church when I was growing up, and her son, he's a couple years older than me, but we grew up in the church together. Our families were very close, and his mother passed away last night, and or yesterday I should say. And I'm like, well, here's number 12 in less than 3 months. And it's what a season we're in. I
Yeah.
mean, we just had a funeral Saturday. I mean, and many more prior to that. I mean, it's just been wild, just
It's,
absolutely wild. So
it's like
never,
once a week.
it has been. It's really been about one a week. And it's been less than 3 months. Yeah, a couple of weeks we had like two back to back. It's just been unbelievable. But yeah, never forget takes on a whole new meaning
Yeah.
when you're in a season, you
Yes.
know, like
Yeah.
this. And
And I'd like to just say something about never forget. Never forget what we're fighting for. Never
mm,
forget the love of family, friends, coworkers, self. Never forget love of self, which we tend to forget a lot.
mm,
Because sometimes people don't forget when people have done something wrong to them. And then
mm,
that becomes a grudge, and that becomes anger, and that eats away not only at your soul, but your body too. That stress inside of you. And, so never forget the good. You can forgive and forget the
mm,
negativity because forgiveness is not, Angie, and I know you would never do this, but if you did something horrible to me, which I know you would never do, and I stewed about it for years and years and years, that just ages you. It's exhausting. It ages you. You guys want wrinkles. You just keep worrying about the past.
mm,
But if I forgive you, I'm not actually I'm allowing me freedom. It's not about the forgiven, it's about the forgiver. You are
mm,
giving yourself the grace to let go of that garbage, to let go of it.
mm.
So never forget and always forgive.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that. Yeah, I I won't. I don't. This is a whole other episode that would take days probably to record, but um, I I experienced a lot of trauma at the hands of one person
Oh,
um, growing up, and and now my prayer is every single night I have forgiven her, not to her face because the forgiveness was about my healing and not about her, but now I just pray. I'm like, her heart is so hard and cold that I pray that God will soften it and have her be a nicer person or treat people better. And I kind of go
yes.
through some things, and because that's something only God can do. um and because she's evil, like she's an evil human. And so there's something it the trauma she inflicted on me says more about her than it does me. And that's something that it took me probably a couple decades to understand.
A long time to go through something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
to go
Yep.
through that long.
And it was from, the time I was 7, and even now to this day, she still tries, but I choose not to engage. I just, I've told her, I'm like, I told her clear back when like 20 years ago, you no longer have permission to speak to me ever. We have nothing to say to each other. So don't speak to
For
me.
you.
I'm not going to speak to you, and you don't have permission to speak to me. And and set those healthy boundaries around those things. And once again, it's about protecting me and healing me, just like you said. Like, that's a gift that I chose to give myself from that.
Yes. I love how you put that. A gift to myself. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I love
But
that.
hang it, yeah, like you said, hanging on to that. I mean, I did for a long time, and it
Yeah.
served me no purpose, none,
No.
like, none, and no good purpose. And it's like, why am I doing that to myself when, and it was actually like re-traumatizing me, just
Yes.
thinking about it. And now, I mean, now I
Yes.
just like, she just has a cold, hard heart, and only God can fix it. So
Yeah, it might take a few lives.
perhaps, but yeah, it's like, well, that's the best that I can give. And
Yeah.
I've even told God a couple of times, I'm like, this is hard. This is a hard prayer for me to pray. I mean, because He
Mm.
knows my heart anyhow. And I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
but
Right.
she needs it. She's like, she needs it. And those are the
Yeah.
kinds of things that it's okay. Like, it's like it can be hard to forgive
Mhm.
and stuff, but just knowing that you're
Yes.
doing it for yourself is a,
Yes.
is a big gift. Yeah.
Yes. And somebody that I'm just going to say horrible. I have to ask myself, what did they go through? Because we do what we learn growing up.
Yeah.
We're molded from the time we come out of the womb, and sometimes even in the womb, if
Sure.
mom and dad are fighting the whole time, but so we're molded from day one, and we live what we lived, if that
Mhm.
makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's hard. So it's really hard for me to have compassion sometimes for some people.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Yes. But, I try to remind myself I had a blessed upbringing. I really did have a blessed upbringing. And not everybody had a blessed upbringing. And so I can understand the anger. I can understand, I can't tolerate it, nor do I have to tolerate it.
Right.
But just to think about what they had, what trauma did they go through, it can make it easier to help you forgive
Yeah.
and let it go and just kind of, okay, get this off of me. I,
Right.
I, I no longer want it because it's holding me back. And every time you think, and this is what we do, something bad happens. Like, let's say I have an argument with a friend or a coworker or something like that. And then for the next, if we let it happen, and I would let this happen, actually, it was usually I would be mad at a sales rep because of something they didn't tell me before I got to the client site. And then I'm here trying to explain to the client why I can't install what the sales rep said I would install.
Mm.
And then the 2.5 hour drive home, the whole time I'm like, I'm gonna kill him. That son of that S, oh my God. If he, and it's just like it goes through my mind again and again and again for 2.5 hours. Oh my God. If I knew then how the brain and the stress work in my body, I would have learned to breathe and let it go.
Mm.
And I will deal with it when I see that person. I don't have to let it go through my brain over and over and over again. And guess what? And then I wonder why, as I'm swinging through Wendy's on the way home to get dinner, that my tummy is upset. Well, when you're stressed, the blood is redirected from the digestive system to go to those things, that those parts of your body that need to either fight or flee. There's nothing there to digest that food. So anyway, it's yes, we need to try. It's a good idea to try and let it go and deal with it when you need to deal with it, but let it go for now. Breathe, take a deep breath, expand your belly. So anyway, I'm rambling.
Yeah,
So what
no.
about you, Angie? What about you? I've been having my stories all morning.
Oh no, it's all good. It's all good. So mine is I was born with a congenital issue in my feet and ankles, which made it hard for me to run, stand on my tiptoes, climb ladders, different kinds of things. And it wasn't until I was in my 30s that we realized that my Achilles tendons never grew. So, so I had a lot of problems with my Achilles tendons. I've had 6 surgeries, 3 on each side. I actually lost my Achilles tendon in my left leg, and my Achilles tendon in my right leg is supported by my flexor tendon, which is what allows you to move your toes. In my left leg, my flexor tendon is now my Achilles tendon. So I've lost the use of all 10 of my toes. I can't curl them. I can't use them. I can't do it. I mean, they're there, but there's nothing in there to make them work. They're just there.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yeah, and so and because I've had so many surgeries, I have lost a lot of feeling in the bottoms of my feet. And I've had to learn how to walk again twice as an adult. Um, and the first time took me 2.5 years, and that was on my left side. That was the worst one. And I was in a wheelchair and all the, I mean, it was an interesting 2.5 years, I will say that. And I had moments of severe depression, which, if you know anything about me, isn't, people were like, where's Angie? Like, because, being in a depressed state is not something they were used to me being in. But I got very depressed because I was so immobile. And me being the bullhead that I was, it's like, I do myself. I do myself. I don't need nobody. Like I think about the Cartman episode where, I do what I want. And, so I don't watch South Park, but anyhow, I digress on that. But it was just really a struggle. And but I was bound and determined that I was going to learn how to walk again, because I was not going to be in an immobile state. Like, that was not good for my mental health, wasn't good for me at all. And so learning how to walk again, I had a much greater appreciation for, and it's so serendipitous that we've talked about 9/11. This was not planned, audience. I promise you, this was not planned. But like how first responders in our military, when they have tragedies and they have to learn how to walk again and different types of things. And people who have had accidents, and I had a whole new appreciation for that, because it was really 90% mental and 10% physical. Like, learning how to walk again was more about this than about my brawn, and being able to actually, like, move my feet in a way that I didn't fall, because I fell a lot during that time, and that increased my frustration, and it blah blah blah. Anyhow,
Oh, sure.
so the second time learning how to walk again was actually much easier, because I'd figured it out the first time. And so I got there much more quickly. It did not take me 2.5 years. Um, and it really only took me about a year, but
That's still
all
a long time.
it was a yeah, it was a long process. And yeah, and there's trauma associated with that, like, and if you saw the backs of my feet and ankles, like, it's very obvious that I've had, multiple surgeries and stuff. And anytime you have a surgery, it's trauma to your body, and painful, and just so many things that go with it. But the success that came from that, and how it set me up was, and my dad had set the precipice of this early on, was, okay, there are things that you cannot do, but let's work at what you can do. Let's solve the problem. Let's figure this out. Okay, like right now, going up steps is not a problem. Going down steps, whether you realize it or not, when you go down steps, your toes grip, even if you're in
Really?
shoes, even if you're in slippers. So pay attention when you're walking down the steps, your toes just automatically, that helps keep you stable, helps keep you safe. Well, mine don't do that. So going down steps is very challenging for me. I have to go very slow and I have to hold on, because I will fall. And I learned that the hard way. I'll just say
Yeah.
that more than once.
Sure, it's not fun falling down steps.
No, it's very unpleasant. I will just say it's a miracle I didn't break anything, because it happened a lot before I really figured out the right way for me to go down steps. And I have to go down sideways and stuff. And when, like, you go to I'll say like a baseball game, and there's a lot of people and you're going down steps at the end, people are like, move it, get going. And I'm just like, you don't even know. Like, you just don't even, like, I just ignore them now. But people are ridiculous and
Mhm.
rude. It's like, then pass me, because I can't,
Right,
and I'm not going to do, just because you're in a hurry for whatever reason. I
right,
can't, and I won't. I'm not going to jeopardize my safety for you.
exactly.
So it's a whole thing, but it has set me up to, like, anytime I have a problem, it's like, okay, let's get to work. And it doesn't matter what the problem is. Let's, okay, that didn't work. Okay, let's try something else. That didn't work. Let's try something else. So I say, like, I never fail because I won't quit. Because my definition of failure is giving up and quitting. That's my
Mhm.
definition of failure. That might not be anybody else's definition of failure. And so I
I
never,
like I like that definition, by the way, because
yeah,
that's exactly true. I never looked at it that way, but that's so true.
yeah. So I don't fail because I won't quit. I will keep working to find the solution that does work. And that all came out of those years of having those setbacks and overcoming adversity, and really learning how to reinvent myself. As, I mean, technically, I am considered a person with a handicap. And I don't view myself as that at all. I mean, I view myself as someone who has overcome a lot of adversities and has kicked every one of their butts
I love it. I love it.
and found a way to succeed in a way that serves me and my definition of success. Because once again, my definition of success isn't going to be the same as the next person's definition of success. And my success is every time I walk down a set of stairs, that's success. And I didn't fall. I mean, just little things like that. Every time I use a tool that I learned that I needed to help me be successful, it's like, I got here. I figured this out. And sometimes it takes me a little bit longer than the next person, but who cares, right? Like, so what that it might take me a little bit longer? Well, you know,
I love that. Angie, I've known you for a few years now, and I know you are a go-getter, and I just love your energy. And I love that anytime I ask you a sales or marketing question, you are on it. Like you are just there and on it. And I am amazed at the wisdom that I get from you. And I'm like, well, why didn't I know that? Why didn't I know that? But I mean, it is that I'm not failing. I will never fail because I will never quit. And it's just, you amaze me. You absolutely do amaze me in what you do and how well you do it. And you set boundaries too.
Mhm.
Like you don't work on Fridays. That's a boundary. And how you get so much done in 4 days and I can't get it done in 5 days. Let's see. What's the problem here? But
I
yeah, yeah.
I
That's
just figured out what works for me. And that's something, a lot of times, I get this a lot from people is, they want to do, like, I've gotten this so many times. Well, I want to do what you do. And it's like, mm-mm, you want to do what's best for you. I do what's best for me. And a lot of people, they quit or give up before they have figured it out. And that is can be a huge struggle and can hold people back from achieving the things that they want to achieve. And it's like, like I use the story of WD-40. Do you know how WD-40 got its name?
I think I've heard the story, but I don't remember it.
Yeah, I probably have told you before, but WD-40 got its name because it took them 40 tries to get to where they're at. And they were like, they didn't really know what to call it. And they were like, well, let's call it WD-40. So it took them 40 tries. So they figured out 39 ways how not to do it. Same thing with the light bulb. I mean, I forget
Mhm.
what that number is, where he tried, I don't know how many
Yes,
times.
hundreds of
100,
times.
yeah. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, I learned how not to create a light bulb, but then I figured it out. And so many people give up in the middle, and it's like you might be one try away from achieving what it is that you want to achieve, but you've given up one step too soon. You've quit one step too soon. And that makes me sad for people.
Well, I'll tell you, if I didn't have you as one of my coaches, I would have given up. I would have given up because, I'm of retirement age. And when I left corporate, I had this dream, right? I have a dream to guide women that were in my situations to take care of themselves so that they're not in my situation when I'm just so exhausted and anxious that I don't have my life. I'm no longer me. I didn't recognize me anymore. And so that is my mission, my passion. But there are so many times I'm like, I'm working, I'm getting nowhere, but I wasn't doing the right things. But I'm learning that those weren't the right things. I was trying to be someone else. I mean, I would never have agreed to do a podcast like this because I would have been so afraid of, well, am I going to say the right thing? Am I going to do the right thing? I've learned I have to be me, and that's how I find my tribe. So even this, couple years and many thousands of dollars later, just thinking, well, maybe I should just give up. But then I kept saying, but then what am I going to do? Sit around and watch TV? That might be good, for a couple hours, but, come on. I'm not going to do that every day. And not to say that that's wrong if that's what somebody's doing, but yeah, I know there's a purpose. So I really just want to applaud you, Angie, again and again and again and again and again.
You're
So,
so sweet. I appreciate it. Oh, and yes, there's definitely a mutual admiration here because, yes, what you do is amazing. And the transformation that you walk your clients through is powerful. And just to be able to release all of that excess, and it's not physical weight, it's the emotional weight and the mental weight and all that crap and baggage that keeps you stuck and stopped up and
yes.
eh,
Yeah. Well, it's so uh, Angie and I both live in Ohio. Right now, the air is oppressive. It's hot. The humidity is at 100% or whatever. It's, to walk outside is horrible. And we're not even in the worst part of it.
right, right.
So I bring this up because if you've ever been outside in in oppressive weather like this, and maybe you're working in the yard or something like that, and you're just getting sweaty and dirtier, and then you come in and you take a shower.
Mm,
That's what it feels like to let go of all that dirt, all that stuff that's holding you down and making you feel icky sticky. So yeah, just letting it go and forget about it. Yeah.
yeah, I love that. What a great analogy too, because yeah, I mean that's so relatable. Because yep, I'm
Yeah.
we've all been there, you know,
Yes.
digging in the dirt or mowing or whatever it is,
Right, right.
throwing mulch,
Yeah.
whatever.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So,
Oh, so great. And that we started off this episode with talking about some heavy emotions, but the beauty of it is on the other side, like Lori said, there's a yin and a yang. There's with every shadow there's light, with every dark there's light. And now we have flipped that to the light, and the great things can happen on the other side of adversity. And it can be really hard to see what those great things are while you're going through it. Like I said, when I got so depressed, it was hard. Like it took some days, it took so much energy just to brush my teeth because I was just so bogged down with these, I was stuck, I was stationary. Um, at the time I had a corporate job and I was on leave, so I didn't even have work to occupy me during that time because I was on leave, medical leave. And people would come over and I would be like, when are you leaving? Like I was just faking it. It was so hard. And then I finally got to the point where I just had to be honest and say, today's not my best day. I will give you the best that I can, but just know it probably won't last for long. And it was so interesting when I started being honest with my friends and family, how they showed up differently. And the more they showed up differently, the better I was.
yes.
Because I actually communicated what it was that I needed and what I wanted. And they met me there. And so then, whenever they started coming over, I wasn't faking it. I gave them the best that I could for the time that they were there.
Mm.
And they respected my healthy boundaries. And it was beautiful. I mean, it was just beautiful. And that was something, that I learned that because so many times we want to please people, right? Like we've talked about that on this show, definitely, and that we neglect what we need and what we want during a time. And I just had to communicate with them and say, look, I love you and I appreciate you. I am struggling. I can't give you what I don't have at this moment. Um, and then once they understood that, I just gave them the best that I could for however much time my brain and my body and emotions would allow me. And then they respected that and they left. And it was beautiful.
I love that. I love your courage to say, this is how I feel and set boundaries. And I love that your friends are true friends and honored that. and
Yes.
supported you in your boundaries. Because if
Yep.
someone's not supporting you in your boundaries, they're not your friend.
Yeah.
It's all about them. It's not about, yeah. So, yeah.
Yep. I mean, one day my hair was, I cannot stand hair on my neck. Like, I love having all this shaved. Like, I love it. And I was really struggling because I couldn't get to the beauty parlor. So one of my friends, all I had to give that day was long enough for her to shave my head. She was so sweet. She came over, brought her clippers. I hardly talked to her the whole time, but it was so sweet of her. She gave me what I needed, which was, and just getting that hair off the back of my neck was so good for my soul, and it just felt so much better. And she was in and out in probably 15 minutes. But the other thing, that I learned through this was people really do want to help, and allowing them the space to do that instead of me saying, I'll do it myself, you know, like, and she felt so good, even though it was just for a short period of time. She knew I wasn't having the best day. She gave me the best version of herself. She knew what was going to help me because she knew I couldn't stand hair on the back of my neck. And then she respected my boundary and left. And it was like, we still talk about that to this day. And she said, I love doing that for you. And she's like, even if it was for 15 minutes, I loved being able to do that for you. And I was like, oh, you're such a good friend.
That's such a good message, Angie, because I struggle with that. I
Mm,
struggle with allowing people to help me, allowing people, but because I don't, I feel less than. I feel, and I think it's that I guess women, the idea that women are helpless, that people think women are helpless. And, my dad, my partner Dave, he'll say, poor bastard, because my dad had a son and four daughters. And every time I
woo,
tell Dave that, he's like, poor bastard.
yeah.
But my dad loved his girls, and
Oh,
we not only were in the kitchen with mom, but we were down in dad's wood shop as well, watching him. And we learned to mow the lawn. I've got two drills. I had two drills before Dave moved in. So it's like we were taught how to take care of ourselves, but there's something in me, and this is something I should be exploring. Why do I have a hard time feeling, allowing people to help me when somebody offers help? That's something that's on my list of things to do.
ah, yeah. Yep. And it's there's no shame in it,
Yeah.
and like there were times when I would load up my wheelchair. I'd be home alone. I'd wheel myself out to my vehicle. I'd load up my vehicle with my wheelchair. I went to our county fair and spent all day there, wheeling
Good
myself
for
around
you.
stuff. And there were times I needed people to help because there were these big, they held the wires, the electrical wires, and they were across the way. And I was having a hard time getting over the hump. I would just ask perfect strangers. I'm like, can you please just give me a little push and get me over the hump? Everyone gladly
Oh.
did. No one acted like they were put out or anything, and people were glad to do it, hold doors for, like, sometimes at the concession stands I couldn't reach to give them my money or to get the food, perfect strangers would help me. I'm like, thank you so much, I appreciate it. And it, it made people happy to be able to help.
Yes. And when I am helping someone, I love it. So yeah, this is an aha moment for me.
Ah,
Thank you, Angie. Thank you. See,
yeah.
even we learn.
Yes. 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 Oh, well, this has just been a really powerful conversation. And I know the women watching this, you have probably experienced, your own things. And so hopefully we've dropped some nuggets today that have been just really helpful through our journeys. And but I would really encourage you to don't give up, because you literally might be one solution away from figuring it out. And don't deprive yourself of that, and be like WD-40 and don't stop on 39.
Right.
Um, and so those are my parting
Yeah.
words. How about you, Lori?
Well, and look at what good has come out of something. What have you learned? That, there's always some kind of adversity, but what are you learning during that? Have you gotten strength from it? Have you found a friend from it? Have you realized that you shouldn't be going in that direction and you took another direction and now this is a better direction for you. So failures are never failures. They're lessons to be learned. I look at it as God in the universe giving me direction, telling me, okay, don't go there or learn from this. And when we look at life that way, it makes it a lot more fun.
Oh, agreed. Oh, so yes, absolutely, absolutely. Well, Lori, I just want to thank you for sharing your very powerful story. I mean,
You
I know that,
too.
it's it can be hard to go back and talk about it, and it does bring up emotions, and so I'm going to encourage you to engage in some self-care today. I know that's your area of expertise, but even just talking about it can stir up some things, and just being conscious of the space that you're sitting in and any emotions that, just release those and give yourself that gift.
Yes, thank you. I will. I will.
All right. Until next time, we will talk with you later.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Unapologetically Unstoppable Women podcast. If today's conversation fired you up, inspired you, or made you laugh out loud, don't forget to hit subscribe and share this episode with another unstoppable woman in your life. Remember, you don't have to apologize for your ambition, and you never have to shrink to fit someone else's expectations. Keep showing up, keep breaking barriers, and keep living life on your own terms. Until next time, stay unapologetic, stay unstoppable.